Two fathers loved their sons equally. They lived in similar neighborhoods. They worked hard. They sacrificed for their families. And every night, both fathers went to bed believing they were doing the right thing. But 20 years later, their sons' lives looked completely different. One young man was confident, independent, and willing to take on challenges. The other was intelligent and talented, yet constantly doubted himself. He avoided risks. Small setbacks felt overwhelming. What happened? Neither father was abusive. Neither father was neglectful. In fact, both were loving parents. The difference came from thousands of tiny decisions made over the course of childhood. One father believed love meant protecting his son from struggle. The other believed love meant preparing his son for struggle. And surprisingly, that second approach reflects a parenting philosophy that has existed in Russian families for generations. A philosophy built around a simple idea: children become strong not when life is made easy for them, but when they learn they can handle difficult things. Today, we're going to explore the Russian parenting principles that may explain why some children grow into resilient, capable adults, and how you can apply those lessons in your own family without becoming a strict parent. Let's start when both boys were just 5 years old. At first glance, they looked exactly the same. Both were curious. Both were energetic. Both were deeply loved. But the first major difference appeared during a simple, everyday moment. One afternoon, both boys struggled to put on their shoes. The first father immediately stepped in. "Here, let me do it." 30 seconds later, the problem was solved. The second father watched for a moment. His son became frustrated. He tugged at the laces. He sighed. He nearly gave up. But instead of taking over, the father said something different. "I know it's hard. Keep trying. I'll wait." The task took 5 minutes. The shoes weren't tied perfectly. But the boy did it himself. At the time, it seemed insignificant. Just a pair of shoes. Just another day. But this small moment reveals one of the most important principles in Russian parenting. The belief that confidence grows from competence. Not praise alone. Not encouragement alone. Competence. Russian parents have a word connected to this broader philosophy: vоспитание. It refers to the development of character, responsibility, and self-discipline. The goal isn't simply to raise a happy child, it's to raise a capable human being. And that subtle difference changes how parents respond to everyday challenges. The first father saw frustration and removed it. The second father saw frustration and coached his son through it. Both acted from love. But the lesson each child learned was very different. One learned, "Dad will solve this." The other learned, "I can solve this." And over the years, those lessons began to compound. By the time the boys were 8 years old, another difference had emerged. The first father still handled most responsibilities for his son. He packed his school bag, he organized forgotten homework, he fixed small problems before they became noticeable. Again, his intentions were good. He wanted to help. The second father took a different approach. He gradually gave his son responsibilities. Nothing extreme. Age-appropriate tasks. Packing his own school bag. Preparing simple snacks. Keeping track of school supplies. Helping with household chores. When mistakes happened, and they did, the father resisted the urge to take control. Instead, he treated mistakes as learning opportunities. At first, the boy forgot things. Sometimes he failed. Sometimes he felt frustrated. But with each challenge, he gained something more valuable than convenience. He gained competence. Psychologists call this self-efficacy. It's a person's belief that they can influence outcomes through their own actions. Children who repeatedly solve problems begin to trust themselves. They develop an inner voice that says, "I can figure this out." And that voice becomes incredibly important later in life. Now, fast forward a few more years. Both boys are 12. Both are facing bigger challenges. School becomes harder. Friendships become more complicated. emotions become stronger. One day, both boys come home upset after failing an important test. The first father immediately begins trying to remove the pain. "Don't worry. It's not a big deal. You'll do better next time." The intention is comforting. But the conversation quickly moves away from the experience. The second father responds differently. He sits down beside his son. "That feels disappointing, doesn't it?" The boy nods. For a moment, neither of them tries to fix the feeling. Then the father asks, "What do you think happened? What can you do differently next time?" This reflects another Russian parenting concept known as zakal. Traditionally, zakal referred to gradual strengthening through controlled challenges. Many people associate it with physical resilience, but its deeper lesson is psychological. Russian parents have often believed that children become stronger when they learn they can survive discomfort. Not dangerous discomfort, not overwhelming hardship. Manageable challenges. The kind that teach children they are more capable than they realize. This is where many parents unintentionally make a mistake. They see discomfort and immediately try to eliminate it. But growth often lives on the other side of discomfort. Boredom can spark creativity. Frustration can build persistence. Disappointment can teach resilience. The second father understood this. He didn't enjoy watching his son struggle. No loving parent does. But he also knew that rescuing too quickly can prevent growth. As the years passed, the gap between the two boys slowly widened. Not because one was smarter, not because one was more talented, but because they had learned different lessons about themselves. One had learned to depend on external solutions. The other had learned to trust his own abilities. Then came adolescence. Perhaps the most challenging stage of all. This is where many parents find themselves locked in constant battles. Arguments, defiance, power struggles. And this brings us to the third principle often seen in Russian parenting. Calm authority. Many people imagine Russian parenting as loud, strict, or intimidating. But experienced parents often rely on something much quieter. Consistency. Imagine both boys breaking an important family rule. The first father reacts emotionally. His voice rises. The conversation becomes heated. The teenager becomes defensive. Soon, both are frustrated. The second father remains calm. He listens. He acknowledges the emotion, but he doesn't change the boundary. The rule still applies. No shouting, no threats, no dramatic lectures, just steady leadership. Children borrow emotional regulation from adults. When parents remain calm under pressure, children gradually learn how to do the same. This doesn't mean parents never make mistakes. It doesn't mean they never lose patience. They're human. But over time, consistency matters more than perfection. The second father wasn't calm because he didn't care. He was calm because he cared enough to stay steady. Years passed. The boys became young men. And now we arrive at the future. The moment where their paths become impossible to ignore. The first young man was kind, intelligent, capable in many ways, but he often doubted himself. He hesitated before taking risks. He feared failure. When problems appeared, his first instinct was often to look for someone else to solve them. The second young man wasn't fearless. No one is. But he trusted his ability to handle challenges. When obstacles appeared, he didn't immediately panic. He had spent years proving something to himself, again and again. Challenge after challenge. I can handle this. That's the real outcome of these parenting principles. Not perfect children. Not obedient children. Capable children. Children who grow into adults who trust themselves. And that's the lesson Russian parenting offers. Not that parents should become stricter. Not that children should be left entirely on their own. And certainly not that one culture has all the answers. The lesson is much simpler. Children are often capable of more than we think. When we give them responsibility, they develop competence. When we allow manageable struggles, they build resilience. When we provide calm, consistent guidance, they develop confidence. And perhaps most importantly, they begin to see themselves differently. Not as people who need rescuing, but as people who can overcome challenges. So this week, try one small experiment. Give your child a responsibility they don't currently have. Pause before rushing in to help. Allow them to solve a problem on their own. Stay calm during a difficult moment. The change won't happen overnight. But neither did the difference between those two fathers. It was built one small decision at a time. One challenge at a time. One lesson at a time. Because in the end, great parenting isn't about making life easier for children. It's about helping children become stronger for life. And that may be the greatest gift a parent can ever give. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments which principle stood out to you the most. And if you'd like more parenting wisdom from cultures around the world, backed by modern child development research, be sure to subscribe. Because every child has incredible potential. Sometimes they just need a parent willing to believe in it before they do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.